This video was made possible by Masterworks. Remember Hyperloop? It was supposed to be huge. The concept promised a revolutionary new method of transportation on par with the invention of the aeroplane. For the last decade, engineers had been racing to build a system that could transport people across vast distances in vacuum-sealed tubes, travelling at over 1,200 kilometers an hour. The stuff of science fiction. But the problem is, it doesn't actually exist yet, at least not in the way it was pitched back in 2013 when Elon Musk first outlined his vision. Now, after numerous tests, failed promises, and almost insurmountable odds, a real fully functioning Hyperloop still remains elusive. So what happened to the Hyperloop that we were all pitched? Is it still possible, or just a pipe dream? The concept of Hyperloop is hard not to get excited about. Imagine you're in Los Angeles and you want to get to San Francisco. The fastest possible route right now would involve travelling to an airport, being stuck in LA's infamous traffic, then taking a 1.5 hour flight. Once you arrive, you still wouldn't be at your destination, and it's at least a 30-minute ride on public transport to downtown. With Hyperloop, all of that would be done in 36 minutes end to end, with the stations right in the middle of each city. It would be the fastest way to travel across the surface of the Earth. Musk's original white paper envisioned a futuristic super high-speed transportation system that would see passenger pods move through a vacuum in steel tubes, addressing the two key factors that slow down conventional vehicles: friction and air resistance. Without either, the pods can reach incredible speeds. They'd move in a similar way to how Maglev trains do now, using powerful magnetic levitation and electric propulsions. Musk left his concept open sourced, actively encouraging others to build upon his ideas. By late 2014, Albor, a German-born entrepreneur, seized on it, assembling 300 engineers to form Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. Soon, other companies followed suit. Richard Branson threw his hat in the ring, took over Hyperloop One and created Virgin Hyperloop. There was also Transpod, Zeleros, Hart, and the list went on. Now, Virgin Hyperloop is the company that's arguably made the most headway. It's shaped regulatory frameworks with governments, commissioned certification centres, built real test tracks, and has actually put people into pods. In 2020, Virgin Hyperloop made a massive breakthrough with the first ever passenger test, taking place in the middle of the Nevada desert, hurtling two people 107 miles an hour down a 500-metre long tube. That's why it was so surprising that at the start of 2022, the firm axed half its staff and announced it would no longer be attempting passenger travel. Instead, it would direct its energies entirely on freight transport. Yes, you heard that right. The leader in Hyperloop technology is no longer focusing on transporting people. They want to focus on moving goods first. So why the sudden shift away from passenger travel? Well, there are quite a few reasons. Hyperloop has long had its critics and doubters, people who said they could see these challenges coming from a mile off. Some questioned how you could ever sustain a near-perfect vacuum over hundreds of kilometers. Many said that if it was actually pulled off, it would be one of the greatest engineering achievements of all time. There's also the small problem that Hyperloop can't really turn corners, at least not with present-day technology. Currently, the tracks have to run in a straight line, and that makes for a pretty limited route. Now, one solution could be to bury the tubes underground so they could run in the straightest lines possible without having to turn around buildings or landscapes. It's a nice idea in principle, but in reality would create further challenges and add even more cost. And in a world where California's high-speed railway has stalled and the UK's HS2 has seen delay after delay, this seems unlikely, especially as Hyperloop would dwarf both in terms of scale. The commercial viability of Hyperloop has also been put into question. For safety, pods travelling at 760 miles an hour will need approximately 80 seconds between the launching of each one. This would severely restrict passenger capacity to around 1,800 people an hour, much less than what a high-speed train could handle. Passenger comfort is also a problem. Nausea is common when more than 0.2 Gs are exceeded, and Hyperloop would more than double that. Shifting to freight transportation then makes sense. Cargo won't complain of nausea, and all the kinks can be worked out without huge regulatory headaches or fear of accidents. Global logistics platform Eurosender has even said Hyperloop freight could be 8 times more cost-effective than transporting goods via air. It would also massively cut delivery times. If something took 23 hours by plane or 4 days by truck, it would take just 16 hours by Hyperloop. This video is made possible by Masterworks, a tech firm that's doing some fast-paced disruption of its own. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, this isn't NFTs. It's a startup that lets investors diversify their portfolios with high-value art for a fraction of the price that Hyperloop-shaping billionaires like Elon Musk or Richard Branson would pay. The cost of living is crazy right now, and investing in the stock market is expected to deliver zero returns at best, according to Goldman Sachs. But art actually has some of the lowest correlation to stocks and bonds of any asset class, so that news doesn't necessarily need to worry you. Masterworks identifies paintings that are accelerating in value, purchases and securitizes them, and then breaks them into shares so that its investors can each own a smaller piece. When the art goes up in value and Masterworks sell it in a few years, you might get a return. Last month they sold a Cecily Brown piece for a 27.2% net return to investors, even as the stock market is down about 20% for the year. Tomorrow's Builds viewers are getting to skip the queue right now with the link below, so if you're looking to diversify your portfolio, hedge against inflation and see some possible returns, it's worth giving it a try. While global supply chains continue to be affected by the pandemic, demand for cargo services has skyrocketed. Virgin Hyperloop has also said that their system will be entirely carbon-free, running on 100% electric energy that could be sourced by solar panels placed above their tubes. Of course, creating Hyperloop would not just be all about the pods themselves, it would mean creating an entire new form of infrastructure completely from scratch. The impact of such a construction process would be enormous, both on the environment and in terms of costs. But what if it worked? Freight Hyperloop would be able to deliver cargo 3 times faster than high-speed rail. It would be unaffected by bad weather like planes are and would emit a lot less carbon. It would change the way we deliver fresh food, medical supplies, and high-priority goods. It could potentially revolutionise cargo forever, accelerating trade and opening up economies across the world like never before. Branson's company Virgin is not the only one venturing into the possibilities of freight. This is the Hyperport. Created by Hyperloop TT and designed by Mormedi, this is the vision of the future engineered to current industry standards. The Hyperport could move 2,800 shipping containers every day, and it could do so in an enclosed operating environment that eliminates at-grade crossings. That has the benefit of increasing reliability, efficiency, and worker safety. It's an autonomous, electric-powered cargo system. It would use the land better than current ports, and it would be able to deliver more goods. But for now, it's only a vision. Hyperloop still has a long way to go, and it may not look like how we first anticipated it would. If freight transport becomes safe and commercially viable, then it could be a gateway to passenger travel. It still one day might be possible for you to step from downtown LA to Market Street in San Francisco in half an hour. The Wright brothers first flew their plane in 1903. It was in the air for just 12 seconds and travelled 36 metres. Today, the longest flight in the world goes from New York to Singapore and stays in the air for 18.5 hours. And when you think about it, modern jet travel doesn't really sound any more ridiculous than Hyperloop does. In reality, people are moving 500 miles an hour in a pressurised tube 37,000 feet in the air over entire oceans, cities and mountains. People doubted the jet plane at first too, but now it's so ordinary that most of us don't even look up when one flies overhead. Dreamers should never be underestimated. This video is made possible by Masterworks. You can skip their queue at the link below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about where construction is headed, make sure you're subscribed to tomorrow's build.